I would say the other thing that makes us unique is the integrity. I have integrity. Very long ago, when I was very young, I established some core principles, kind of like a code of honor thing. And one of those core
Code of
pillars,
the ninja.
Yeah, code of the ninja. So one of those core pillars was integrity. And integrity, I discovered throughout life, is very difficult to retain. But if you do retain your integrity in any or all facets of life, I mean, it will take you on this beautiful path, this beautiful journey.
Surprisingly enough, last week we had the Doylestown Ninja on the show. If you haven't seen that already, I didn't expect this to happen, but we've got back-to-back ninjas on the episode today. Today, last minute, kind of, we have the Wire Ninjas, Jose and Steve. They're working on a project with us right now, and we've met on site and had some dealings over the last couple months, and you guys have just been, a legit good time every time I've met with you. So when I heard you guys were staying local, I was like, well, why don't we waste some of your time this evening and we can do a podcast? So thanks for coming by. I appreciate that. But honestly, you guys had really nothing else to do tonight, I don't think.
No,
so,
I mean, we didn't. Not a waste of time, though. We're very grateful and, humbled to be here. We do appreciate the invite. But yes, we are ninjas, a different kind of ninjas. We are wire ninjas. And that term comes from, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's kind of like an insider term. Back when I honed my original skills with electronics or circuits, let's say, DC electronics, I honed them in the automotive setting, install and repair in an automotive fashion.
Back when people had needed to put LCD screens or LED, like screens in their dash before that was a thing.
Pretty much, yeah. And I will say that, so in the automotive field, or particularly like audio video remote starts, that kind of thing, you'll see on forums like this term wire ninjas. And it's reference to someone who's a beast, because when you put a remote start in, like, let's say an older car, like nowadays much different. Nowadays, you buy a harness, a kit, you plug shit in. Like, you just plug it in and you a little bit of programming, that's it. But back when I was doing it, on a daily basis, you were using Ohm's law to calculate and build circuits that were necessary. So using Ohm's law, as well as, like simple ICs like transistors, resistors, diodes, capacitors, these things you had to build circuits to achieve what you wanted. So if you're a beast at this, you're a wire ninja. Something I'm familiar with and insiders should be. And so I took that and I was like, wire ninjas. It's the best name that I could ever think of.
It's cool that name has that much
there's a lot behind it.
Substance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, awesome. It's not just like some cool name. It's actually like something that exists.
And of course, marketable, very brandable.
Yeah, it really, I mean, even if you didn't have all that, it really adequately describes what you do.
So,
because now that you're working in houses, like, nobody likes sloppy wire jobs, especially not on like projects that we do. Like, it's very, as like the manager of a project, I like when I see everybody, especially the electrician or any AV company that comes in, when everything's like real clean and labeled and just looks good, it just makes me feel confident in, you guys as the installer. It makes us look good to the customer, because they're like, oh wow, like, this is way better than I would have done. I'm like, yeah, obviously.
That's one thing I did want to touch on. So when I did meet you, you said to me, you're the first AV guy that didn't creep me out. Yeah. And that resonated with me.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I remember that.
Yeah, Ryan Rumor aside, because we're friends with one of the guys from Worldwide Stereo, but he doesn't necessarily do what you do. He's more in like a sales role.
Okay.
But like we've had a, our fair share of AV companies come through our office or pitch us at like trade events or different things, and I'm always like, dude, I don't even want to put my phone down near you because you'll be hacking me or something. Like, I don't know what's up here. Like, it's just like you get these weird vibes. Like, maybe it's just like they're so passionate about what they do that like they're not people.
Well, it resonated with me because honestly, that's what I've seen too. Like, I've met a few, like, we've tried to interact with a few companies, help a few companies, and they creep me out too. Like, I've never met an AV guy that didn't creep me out.
Oh, they've said some wild shit to me. I've had like AV camera guys. Like, we work on a lot of homes that need to be like maintained very like securely. And we've had like different camera companies or things walk in, and they're like, yeah, you can still get into this system if you know, like, and I'm like, whoa, like weird shit like that, or like people will be like, what's the word with the audio people? An audio file where they literally like they'll meet the customer, and I'll be like, hey, look, you're meeting the customer, dial it back. And they'll get in there and they'll be like, well, you want to like zip the bip to the B5, and then we come in here, and it's just like the customer's like, what? Just make the sound good. Like I want to listen to Queen in every room in my house. Make it happen. And they walk away, and the dude's like all upset because they're like, they're not as passionate as I am. And I'm like, dude, no, they're not. They want the music coming out of the ceiling, and that's all they care about. Like, respect it. So when I come off very like I'm a very direct person.
Yeah.
Sometimes to a fault. So when I was like hanging out with you guys, we were on site with the customer, and just like you were very passionate, but you were also very like go with like you were just very flow. Like you're like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do, and you were providing your insight and like, hey, we could do this, we could do that. You don't need to do this. You weren't trying to like on this project we're on, you could easily oversell the project, but you like I've seen you multiple times be like that would be too much.
Yeah.
So like you keep it within like a lot of the people in your position, they try and like blow it out.
Mm-hmm.
They don't read the customer very well and see like, oh, you're not trying to build like, you know, AMC 4 in your fucking house. Like you just need this level, or but you also look out for people. You're like, hey, with Wi-Fi demands, like you might want to do this thing. Like, and people, the way you just like speak and articulate yourself, people seem very comfortable around you.
So with clients, I keep it simple, and it's very simple. So when I meet a client or when someone becomes my client, I consider myself their attorney. I look out for their best interest. Most guys, they're looking out for their own best interest, their pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like I treat things much differently. So when I meet a client, you know, I look out for their best interest, and I put their wants, their needs, and their happiness above all. Very simple process that I use to establish myself with the client, and it's because I look to build a lifelong relationship with these people. You know, I'm not trying to hammer them over the head and blow the budget out and, hey, we made money, but that's not what I'm trying to do. And it really isn't about money for us. But I would say the other thing that makes us unique is the integrity. I have integrity. Very long ago, when I was very young, I established some core principles, you know, kind of like a code of honor thing. And one of those core
code
pillars,
of the ninja.
Yeah, code of the ninja. So one of those core pillars was integrity. And integrity, I discovered throughout life, is very difficult to retain. But if you do retain your integrity in any or all facets of life, I mean, it will take you on this beautiful path, this beautiful journey.
Yeah.
And that is for the most part why I'm here today.
Yeah.
You know, it's brought me here. Integrity has brought me a very long way.
How old were you when you established that?
Honestly, dude, first, I would say 5th grade.
Okay.
Around 5th grade, I remember when I was a child, like I would steal like gum or candy or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what kid
And around
wouldn't?
5th grade, I actually had the ability to have the awareness to have introspection and say, like, this is wrong. You know, I realized what I was doing is wrong on some level. Like, I didn't know why. I didn't know what's behind it.
Did you feel bad about it, or you were just kind of like thinking about
after
you
no,
just pilfered some candy?
In retrospect, like I did, I had some form of introspection, which is crazy for someone that young. And I said, I'm never doing this again. And that's when I started establishing these principles by which to live, you know, a modus operandi, you know, how do I work?
That's MO
as a person.
for those people that don't know.
Oh.
People are like, what's the criminal's MO?
You know, I used to think it was mode of operation.
Well, it's the same technically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Modus operandi is Latin for like means of operation.
Oh.
English forward, Latin backward kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Unagi. Yeah, do you follow the ninja principles? Go on, pay attention.
Yeah, I'm writing these down.
You candy stealer.
Yeah, right.
So Wire Ninjas, I probably should introduce the company. So what we do is we're kind of unique in the way we operate, but what we do is generally along the same as a lot of other companies. We just do it a little bit differently. We try to raise or exceed our own standards and try to push that into the industry as much as we can. Like, we want to do things better than everybody else so that everyone can take from us and learn from us and get their self higher. And I will say we have had this effect on a lot of companies. Like, a lot of companies have reached out to me.
Yeah.
And from Australia to Arizona to California. I mean, people from all over the the globe are reaching out and looking at the way I do things and taking from that. And to me, that's beautiful. One big thing for me is that if I can offer someone some type of help, in their path, in their life, in their career, to me, that's beautiful and priceless.
Yeah.
So, initially when I started the company, not long after, I realized that the company, as opposed to looking at it as a business, you look at it as the social aspect of it and say, this company can do a lot for a lot of people. And that's what was the motivating factor in putting so much of my time and effort into this thing.
So were you, how many years have you been in business now?
So I registered with the state of New Jersey in 2018. I was still working for an AV company. I didn't do anything with the business until late 2019, August, September 2019, I would say. And it's because I was still working for this company, but I wasn't happy there in a few ways. And the main thing was we were doing installs, we were doing work that I wasn't happy with. It lacked integrity. And I couldn't take it anymore. I just left and started the company with nothing, not literally nothing, not even a car. They cut they were suffering as a company, so I had like no hours every week. So I basically had no money, no car, just crashed the car.
Okay.
So I virtually started with nothing. And so what I did was I borrowed a car. I started mounting TVs all day, every day, 15-hour days, just mounting TVs.
How'd you find those like leads? Like how'd you...
TV? What do you mean, TV leads?
Yeah, like
TV
how did were
leads.
people just hitting you up on Craigslist, being like, "You're the TV
So
mounter"?
I was paying for marketing.
Okay.
I had, but the TV leads in particular are rough. It's a rough gig to be mounting TVs all day. A couple things, logistics. TVs in particular, people don't want to spend a lot of money to mount a TV. They don't even want to spend what it's worth your time to mount a TV. So it's very difficult to get by on mounting TVs all day. That's why I was doing 5 or 6 homes a day, you know what I'm saying? Driving around. And it was rough, but what happened was I scaled what I knew to do up. And the way I did that was I established SOP, protocols. So let's say you build a circuit from a TV to a lower portion, media cabinet. It's 3 to 5 feet. So I established protocols on how to do things properly, how to build circuits properly, how to terminate them, how to finish them, how to validate them. So I established all these protocols and then scaled them up to, bigger. So I go from mounting a TV, running an HDMI to, let's say a longer run throughout a home. I need Wi-Fi here, or I need data here. And then that scaled up even more where I started wiring up entire homes. And one of the reasons why I will say we are so good at what we do is because we do a ton of retro. We do a ton of finished wall work. I don't know many people or many companies that are capable of doing an entire home with finished walls, wiring up this entire home for data, audio, video, keeping the cuts at a minimum and being efficient while doing so and having good end results.
So like what you're saying, for those that don't understand, potentially we'll target Gilmar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. I don't know anything.
Yeah. Gilmar doesn't know anything.
I don't know anything.
He's our test subject.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is the home is finished. It could
Yes.
be just drywall, or it could be completely finished, like someone has moved in and is living in this house, and you have to run wires from like a master bedroom down through the first floor into the basement to a room where all your control elements are in. And that requires you to like kind of hack the walls up, or
Yep.
Most people are just kind of slamming hammers and just cutting holes in walls. You're going through very precisely and being like, well, we could take it through here and get it in here, and we could get it all the way down to the basement and make 3 holes. And people are like, what?
Yep. So we keep
Yeah,
cuts to a
that's
minimum.
awesome.
We use specialized equipment. One big thing, and I don't know about plugs, but I don't mind plugging them because they're an American company. It's called MagnaSpot. I've talked to the dude, the owner. He's in Texas. Super cool dude. Lifetime warranty on this thing. It's 2 devices, and we use it almost every day. We used it today, even in open walls. It's 2 devices, a transmitter and a receiver. So the transmitter will transmit to up to 4 feet of concrete. So you place the transmitter, let's say you have an interior wall here, right? Place a transmitter. You need a camera here, or you need, any type of wire, circuit, device here. You place a transmitter, it transmits through the wall, and the locator finds it. I mean, exact to a T. It lines up, 4 arrows line up, and then you know where exactly to drill. So it's perfect for exterior runs. Like, let's say
And what's that piece of equipment called?
It's called MagnaSpot.
Can you pull that up and email it to me?
Dude, if you
we're
do
gonna
any
need that.
type, dude, if you do any type of work in construction, MagnaSpot is, I mean, it will save you millions of hours of time.
Okay, I've seen this before.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
actually awesome. The other one, click the other one.
Oh no, back out.
Yeah, back out. That's some. Yeah,
This one?
MagnaSpot, the XR.
To the
no,
right.
to the right. Yep, that's it. That's the guy right there.
You always go for the 1,000.
Dude, this thing is wonderful.
It's not that much money either.
$200. I mean, you don't even have to measure. No measuring, nothing.
That's
You
insane.
find it in seconds.
So basically, everywhere you're going that you need to make a hole through something, you're putting it on one side.
Floor
Steve's
to
on one
floor.
side of the wall, you're on the other, and you're like, boom, boom, here we are.
Floor to floor, wall to wall in seconds. No
Crazy.
Okay,
measuring,
so you
nothing.
can. Yeah, I didn't even think about doing it on the horizontal.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
because there's a lot of liability when you're drilling anything,
Yeah, especially when you guys are coming in last. In the home we're working on now, all the walls are open and everything.
Yes.
Is that like nice
Well,
for you guys?
It's, I mean, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. We do a lot of bare studs nowadays, but we were doing almost all finish work for the first, year and a half, 2 years. But MagnaSpot's wonderful because even exterior runs where you have siding, where you have specialized materials, stone, stuff like that, where you literally cannot screw this up.
Yeah.
It saves you, and it takes seconds.
Oh, that's
'Cause
awesome.
you know exactly where the drill bit's coming out.
And is this a product you knew about from previous experience, or did you kind of stumble
It's
upon
funny
this?
because I actually held off. I knew about it for maybe 6 months, and I looked at it. I'm like, this thing's awesome. But I held off for a while, and I was like, yeah, I don't need that thing. Once I bought it, it changed my life.
Yeah.
It really did change my life. I mean, it kills the liability, and it makes your crew extremely efficient and confident, too, because a lot of guys, I mean, I've met other companies, AV, security companies, and they're pulling wires all day. They don't use this. They have no idea about it. That's why I
It's
figured
guess
I'd
and
get
check.
it out there.
I could take you through houses where it's like, oh, how many holes did you drill before you decided to run your wires through this? And it's like, oh, drilled here, hit a metal beam. Oh, drilled here, that's not going to work. I can't fit my wires through. Oh, drilled here, and it's like, I had the privilege of working for an ex-girlfriend of mine. Her dad owned like an electrical company.
Okay.
And when I was just getting started out in construction, like I wasn't always filled with work.
Yeah.
So like and I remember we were running wire in these like it was like townhouses, and it was like 10 townhouses, and we had to rough in all the houses. And he pretty much, I mean he like left me where with the boxes, helped me do the first one, and said, here, you can do that 9 more times. And I learned so much about like how to get wires, and this was new construction, so like there was a little bit, it wasn't as hard as what you guys are doing and finished, but I learned and like got like such a fondness and respect that like if you looked at house 1 to house number 10,
Yep.
my wires were like in house number 10 there was like no wasted wire. Like I knew exactly, because it was the same house 10 times. I was able to be like, all right, this is exactly, because like the first one you're like, oh dude, pull this wire, and it's like, oh, that's not gonna work. I gotta pull it all the way back down and do it over and over. And then you realize like if I just take a little bit of time and like think about where I'm gonna take this wire, like the end result was so much cleaner. So now, I don't even know how many years later, at least 12 to 15 years later, when I look at people's, like the electrician we have working on that house, they're top notch.
Yeah.
Like that company, I forget how we found them, but I'm friends with the owner now. We have such a respect for how they do things.
Yeah.
But like once you get to that level where the wire work is very clean and everything is very straight and there's no like spaghetti wires.
If you know what you're doing,
It's
you can
awesome.
almost immediately tell. Just look at a panel, and you're like, all right, these guys double thumbs up or
Yeah, the guys that are wiring that house in the city, their reputation is pretty incredible. Like the guy who owns the company is Ron Fisher, and
Yep.
it's Ron Fish Electric. And on all of his panels before the meter goes in, like for the cut card inspection, he'll draw a fish on the cardboard. So when the inspector shows up, he's like, Ron's been here. And they literally, like, it's at the point now where he's done so much work in the city and like South Jersey that like the inspectors know that symbol even if they don't know him.
That's badass.
So, and like the way that he brings the wires in, and like there's no like where the breakers are in the panel makes sense.
Yeah.
The wire work, when you pull the panel apart, like the way the wires are bent and pulled in, like it's not like they just pulled them in and just stuffed them into the terminal.
Clean bend.
It's like literally like boom, boom. Everything is like, it looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And there's been times where we stopped taking pictures of his work because other people were and this is like we were probably getting him a ton of phone calls, which we were happy to do, but he got so busy that we were like, damn it, Ron, we're stopping promoting you because we need you back. But it's funny because when people see, like, even inexperienced people that know nothing about construction would see pictures of his work and they would be like, oh, I trust that guy can come and change the outlet in my kitchen that's been broken for 15 years. Like, they were calling him for just nonsense purely because of how clean his wires looked.
Well, that aesthetic data, I call it, like aesthetic data or optical data, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Humans, I feel like we overvaluate that optical data. It's a good thing because in this case, we can see, and what we see, you can just see it has integrity. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly, that's Ron's picture.
So immediately you're like, yeah, no problem. Let's get this guy over here.
I thought maybe you just pulled a picture from Google. I'm sorry,
No,
I disrespected you like that.
Yeah, no, I went on Ron and looked up his shit.
Yeah, see, like, everything is just
beautiful.
Perfect. And, you know, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, like, oh, my guy's that good, is that Court Street? Where is that?
I have no idea.
No, Warburg Park East Store. Like, it's a commercial building. Look at that. That's like single phase. His work is just so clean. So how'd you two guys get linked up?
Well, that's my brother.
Yeah. So you guys have been linked up.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask because I kind of I vaguely saw it in the nose and the eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you guys kind of have the same vibe.
You
How
have,
many?
like, matching.
Yeah. How many years apart are you guys?
I don't know.
I'm turning 25 this year.
What if he was like, yo, I'm 18, drinking it? I would have been like, oh, that's a Mountain Dew. So you're 25. How old are you?
I think 31.
All right.
Yeah. No, I'm 31 now.
Are you an ageist? Are you like a king share my age?
I don't like aging. It's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to retain my youth. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a never-ending process.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you how old you were at first because I had no idea. I definitely would have said, I guess 31 now that I've heard it makes sense, but I definitely wouldn't have said much older than that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You guys got a few years between you guys.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I started out, and when I was in business for myself, my brother had no choice. I was just like, hey, man, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, you bring your drill. Like, I'll see you out there. And then we had our ups and downs working together just because I was like just a young shitty leader in my like early 20s, and I kind of just like expected more of him than, you know,
well,
like it's just like you put the pressure on. I put pressure on him that like I was feeling just because I was like, dude, you're my brother, so like you're in this, and then eventually he was in it. He's in the military now, but like he's talking now about like when he gets out, like what is his role in this operation now that we've grown it to like where it is now. And I'm like, dude, you have a place here no matter what. Like I very much miss having him around because it's like when your brother's around, it's kind of like, I don't know. Well, it's a little bit different than just having like your first employee.
It's a tough thing owning and operating, I would say, probably any business, any company, because like we've had our conversations and very similar to what you've gone through. I'm not the best manager. I'm an excellent technician. I just happen to be a good salesman in my opinion because of my charisma, because I'm genuine. You know, people meet me.
You're passionate.
Yeah, they see it, you know, and it's tough managing people when you're not trained to do so. You know what I'm saying? I had a little bit of leadership training in previous employment, stuff like that. But day to day on site, we've had our conversations. I tell him, like, no matter who you are and what role, what occupation, we're all growing, learning, and evolving as people, as professionals.
Yeah.
So I think the key to anything is communication, to have these talks and say, listen, I'm not the best manager. Let's talk about things, what can be improved, stuff like that. You do your daily or weekly chats, whatever it is, or you get mad and fight and talk it out after that. That's only happened maybe one or two times, after some
Steve's like 5 times.
10 days straight work. But
that's how the reason I also, besides like facially, that I thought you guys were brothers when you told me like your schedule for this week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, like you either started a cult and he's in it or like this dude shares some blood with you, because when I was new in business, the only person, like, we have some great people working here that would probably go to the end of the earth for the company now, but like when I was first starting out, like you didn't you didn't have that momentum.
Yeah.
And like my brother, dude, we would do commercial work and like commercial fit outs, and like we went down to like other states where it was like, dude, we worked like 14, 15-hour days, stayed in a shitty hotel, worked for 2 weeks straight, came home, and like I paid him, like I basically treated him like my business partner. Like I wasn't that financially smart in terms of business back then either. So it was just like, dude, this is how we did. Like, here's your cut. Like, it's the same as mine.
Yep.
So like, this is what we're doing, and we would improve from there. So that's awesome. That makes me really happy to hear that you guys are.
I mean, similar, dude. Like, we'll go. We've done Connecticut, right?
Connecticut,
Long Island, even down to the Hamptons. It's like 3.5 hours away from where we are.
Damn.
We're here. This is about 2 hours.
How come you have to like? Do you have to go that far because of like the work kind of demands of it, or like why do you need to?
At this point in time, I scaled down. I used to have more staff. I scaled down, and I decided it's best if I scale down, take care of me, take care of him. That's my priority. And I think part of the value in this company is that me and this kid can live a great life, and we have the ability to choose which projects we want to work on. So like the Hamptons project that, I'm being asked to take on, I want to take it on. So I do the work that I want to, and I make sure that, clients, like, I'm looking to build a relationship. So not everyone clicks with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So like if you're my client, you're my client. If you're not, you're not. And it's best for both of us. You know what I'm saying? So I use a little bit of, scrutiny there and pick and choose the projects that I want to be on. Like with Magori, I met him. He reached out to me, and I told him, I was like, dude, I genuinely like you. I was like, I want to do this project.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yes, he really is a cool guy, and that's why we're here. You know
he's very. I've never had a homeowner this involved.
That's one thing that got me involved, because I'm like, dude, you're actually passionate about this. I was like, I want to do this for you.
And it holds me to like a higher standard, because I have to like, he has the detailed questions. He's truly interested in like understanding what the process is. And it's not like, some people will ask those questions and you can tell they're just trying to make sure you're not slipping. So with him, he's like, it's like the journey, he's on this like ride, and he's riding it, and he's asking not because he's like scrutinizing you, but he's actually like interested in like if there's something that he hears that he could help with or anything like that. So it's been a little bit different for me to get used to that.
Yeah.
I've appreciated it since the beginning. There has been a few times where I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, let me get a breath here and try and figure this out before I get back to you. Like, I have to, like, sometimes with him, like, you can't respond right away with his questions, because you have to, like, you're like, oh, you have to, I was like, I got to dig into this a little bit more and get back to you. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, we'll talk, this time. Whereas some customers are like, when you tell them that, they're just like, oh, okay. And then they never ask the question ever again. With him, he's kind of like, he's going to follow up on that.
Yeah. See, the other side, and what I mean is, like, take Magori or someone of his caliber, and then another client, like, we've done a ton of home cinemas, home theaters, whatever you want to call them. And a lot of those clients they want a theater just to say they have a theater. You know, it's more of like a showboat kind of superficial piece. And there's nothing wrong with me going and performing the work and getting paid good money to do so. But I'd rather work for the guy that, like, it's his passion. Like, he actually cares about the work. Like, he's been doing research for months, if not years. He's picked everything out that he wants. He wants the right guy to do it. Somebody that actually wants a cinema room because it's their passion, as opposed to someone who just wants to purchase a cinema room to say they have one. And we have seen a lot of that.
It is a flex.
I'd rather work for the guy that's passionate about it than the guy who's flexing. That's what it comes down to.
We have a customer who we finished their house in 2020. Keep trying to get Gilmar in there. Well, Gilmar's taking pictures of that house, but you haven't been in the audio room.
I have.
Have you listened to music with him?
Yeah, the second I haven't listened to music.
Oh,
the second
okay,
I got there, he's like, check out my room.
We had a customer who's like 100% an audiophile. He's written for magazines. Like, he has a room, and my business partner and I went with our wives to dinner to their house a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And like towards the end of the night, he's like, step into the room, and the room has like special insulation. The way there's insulation between the studs and the drywall that like separate the screws, so there's no like vibration. There's acoustics to it.
Yep.
and he has these custom built by him speakers in there.
That's pretty cool.
And like they're all controlled into this amplifier system in his basement, and then back up to this like mini laptop he has, and he had every song on there ever.
Yeah, lossless audio too, Flax.
We listened to music, and like the audio quality in this room was outrageous. I like when we left there with my wife, I was just kind of like, I would spend $100,000 on speakers, no questions asked. Like after hearing that, and like I've been to places that sell speakers like that and heard it, but like with the room, the way with the acoustics and how he explained it to us, I was like, I would spend this much money on a room because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, like listening to songs at that like crispness with
Scratching
just like
your head.
You're just sitting there, just like you feel like we listened to Queen and Led Zeppelin, and you literally felt like they were singing it right in front of
That's
you
imaging.
in the room.
Yes.
And you could close your eyes and just like, I'm like, I could sit in this room all day.
Yes.
So do you ever get an opportunity to like work on systems like that, or is that just kind of like a white whale where you're just
we have done a couple crazy rooms, but I will say that a room of that caliber, more times than not, is built by a guy this passionate about it. Audiophiles generally do the work themselves because they're that involved, because they're that stringent.
so I'm going to be like the one-off guy that calls you and be like, I know nothing about this, but I want to listen to this.
I mean, we've done a room. It's like 100K in equipment alone.
Yeah.
100K in equipment. But this guy, I mean, he did it more so for the fact that he wanted to say he had the room.
Yeah, see, that's terrible.
Dude, 100K in equipment, he almost never uses the room. Home cinema room. Projector alone,
Yeah.
20K. The Trinoff processors, like 20K. Like, just two pieces, 40K right there. Like, I mean, budget-wise, it was insane, but the guy really has no passion for the thing.
Yeah. I totally, like, prior to going into that room, we've gone to, like, listening centers and taken customers to, like, see systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, these speakers are how much? And they'd be like, oh, they're $60,000 a piece. And I'd be like, interesting. That's ridiculous, but interesting. But, like, through this experience, I got in my car and I was like, I understand how and why you would spend that much money on speakers. And I think I would probably do like a home theater room just to make it a little bit more get a little bit more utility out of it. But I'd probably be okay with no TV in the room.
Really?
Like
It was that good?
It was that good. Like he had the way the couch was set up. Like you literally felt like there should be a hookah in the room, some incense, and just like put the music on and just. Oh, is this a picture of it?
Well, that's the difference
that's
between
the room.
a good room and a great room. A truly great room is magic, and it makes you think about everything you've heard up until that point, every system you've heard up until that point, and you hop in your car and you're like, my speakers are shit.
Yeah, like see where the wires run into. Like the entire way the room was designed, like everything in that room, he would show up on site and be like, this is exactly where I need this box. This is exactly where I need the conduit to run through. I need the conduit to be glued a certain way. Like everything was so thought out that I was like, what is this man up to? And then months and like over a year later, we got to check it out. And I was like, I respected the amount of effort that we had put into the room for him.
Yeah.
Like the doors were insulated. Like everything was thought about by him.
Yeah.
And that's the only other customer we've had that's been involved the way Sean is. So like when I had Sean, come across our plate, I was kind of like, this is going to be, another opportunity to kind of experience someone who's not just building a house to build a nice house. It's someone that's building a nice house, but like also wants to know their home.
Yeah.
And that's rare for us.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm saying. And what you're hitting on is, you have two different people. It's like two different clients. There's clients that really actually care about what they're doing. And it's just like, it's not a matter of, good or bad, negative. It's just like you want to work for that guy. You know what I'm saying? You want to make his dream come true.
This is the customer we want.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's really cool. Like, how many employees did you have at your largest? Like
at my peak, 5.
Yeah.
Now I got Steve and 1 floater.
Yeah. So he kind of does other stuff on the side.
So floater, he's going for his master's program. He's got school and stuff like that.
Okay. So when he can work, he comes.
So when he can, I'll throw him days, stuff like that. But you know what I realized, and it's not what I originally thought. Like, but back before I started the business, I thought it'd be a whole like crew of people wiring up a house. whether it's electrical or AV or whatever it is. But then I realized it's just two guys. That's really all you need. And besides that, I mean, it's hard to keep the quality of work, the superb quality when you scale up the crew, unless you're there and micromanaging or overseeing every single thing.
Or you take Steve and you add one more guy and you train him for a few years or 2 years and make sure he has the integrity, and if he doesn't, you get rid of him.
Well, it takes years to train anybody, especially for what we do, because we're constantly taking on new types of projects, new types of systems, whether it's an access control or, a Wi-Fi network. Every system is proprietary, has its own language, programming, hardware, and you got to figure all that before you deploy it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly on my toes learning something new so that I can make the current client happy.
That was my next question, is like, how fast is the technology changing that you have to adapt to?
So technology, I would say, it's not like cars. Cars is worse because every year, make, and model is different.
Yeah.
That was fun. But no, a lot of things stay the same. And it's because, like, we've been wiring Cat 6A for how long now? A year and a half? Like, only very short into my journey, I decided, like, hey, why don't we just use the best wire we can, which happened to be Cat 6A, without complicating things. It's good for 10 gigs. And I've like upheld that standard since I started doing it. It's definitely overkill for most homes, but you can do a lot with that type of cable in the future. Like, it's very future proof. To spend an extra $60 a box on cable, it's a much different thing. And I'm the only company I've met who's wiring to this standard. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's very rough out there. I would say, like, dude, we've met companies, like, I won't name names because it's not cool, but like we worked with a company. They asked us for help. We tried to help them the other day. I mean, they've been in business like 40 years, and the guy did. I was like, what do you do to cut gangs? I was like, you got a template? And he's like, oh, he had a hammer and a chisel. And
yeah,
I'm
just
like,
kind of
dude,
cuts out and then whacks it out.
And no, he didn't even cut a square. He just knock a hole in the wall to run a wire through. I'm like, dude, you don't cut a gang. Like, that's what I mean by like protocols. Like,
so then he would expect whomever to come back and patch this.
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't. It's unbelievable. And dude, we've met several companies that operate like this.
It doesn't take much to take a flush cut saw and just kind of like buzz in a little box.
Yes. I mean, they make the qubit, oscillating bit. Have you seen this thing?
Yeah, where it's like,
and
it
it
makes a
you
perfect
fresh
square.
Gang, yes.
Is that what you guys use?
Well, we got it the other day. Well, I mean, I don't mind cutting a gang, but at least use a template, pencil, stuff like that. Or dude, like when we're cutting up walls, finished walls, like use a level. Put a level on the wall, make it a straight cut. Like, even though it's getting repaired, it doesn't matter. Like, after the paint goes up, you won't know what happened to that wall. But it's just like, even though you're cutting the wall, creating damage, like, we like to have integrity even in this part of the process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why with like Ron Fish, our electrician, the reason we use him is he knows no one is going to see their wires.
Yeah.
No one, after the walls get closed up, no one's ever going to see that again.
Yeah.
But like that short period of time that people do know it is important to him.
Yeah.
And then him knowing it's done that way is even more important to him.
And has integrity.
So doing business with somebody like that is so easy. When you catch someone cutting corners,
yep,
it's like it just sours the milk. It just kind of like
doesn't taste good.
You're like, okay, so you cut this. You're thinking to yourself, you're like, all right, I caught you doing this. What else have you done that I haven't caught? Or what are you going to do in the future? And you don't. As a company like ours that is competing on like how well we're taking care of people and how serious we take our builds, that's not good for us, because then it's like it takes our, like, when I can hire someone like yourself or Ron or a couple other people that I could probably name, like you set them up, you give them the information you need, you know that you're going to ask me for stuff if you don't have it. And then I can just trust that it's getting done the right way. Mm-hmm. And then that alleviates my time, or like allows me to like go and focus on either something else and maximize my time. But if I have to babysit you or a subcontractor, it grinds my gears.
Yeah, it don't work. And the other thing is with low voltage, there's not licensing for low voltage in many states. And there's not guidelines or kind of like, state or federal or anything like SOP wise. So with low voltage, you have a lot more freedom to run your circuits however you choose to. We try to align ourselves with, NEC and like Romex has to be stapled at certain points, certain distances, or within range of a receptacle, let's say. We try to follow a lot of those guidelines, and we implement them for ourselves. Like, we like clean runs. We like securing wires to stud bays, even though we don't technically have to. It's just the right thing to do, and that's why we do it.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like that opens up a huge, abyss of nonsense for all these companies who are operating, because they'll just pull a wire over studs, not secure anything, and leave it how it is. It's a tough deal. I don't know. It's
hard out here for a pimp.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the other thing is, without licensing, anybody can just grab a van or a truck and say, "Hey, I'm a low voltage specialist."
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So it makes I think it brings the industry down as a whole. Because there's too many guys doing it. It's just a rough industry in my experience. I know a lot of guys who don't do things correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think, like, how do you, or what medium do you use to kind of like capture your work that help other companies realize they need to elevate?
So a lot
are you using like Instagram?
We're using IG, yes. YouTube channel's getting relaunched. We'll talk about that on the next podcast.
Yeah.
But,
new year, new YouTube
now,
channel.
Yeah, for now, IG at
That
Wire
sounds
Ninjas on Instagram. I like to do stories because people like to follow along.
Mm.
People hit me up on a weekly basis and say, like, dude, they'll literally watch my story day and follow a build, like, start to completion. And they'll hit me up and be like, dude, I love watching this. You know what I'm saying? It's other companies, technicians, or even just homeowners, like homeowners that are interested in this stuff. I think it's important for all of us to create media, to create content, to not only help each other, but also give homeowners, somewhere to look, somewhere to have insight, for their own stuff. Because, like, you're here and you guys are awesome, but you're not in Kentucky. There's some guy in Kentucky who wants similar quality work. So he can at least look at your stuff and say, all right, this is how it should look. Now I can figure out who I need to be talking to.
That's why we went. Our newest we've had a couple Instagrams over the time. Like, mine's got a decent following, but like I don't keep up with it. I'm starting to now, like, try to, because people just asking questions.
It's
and things.
tough. You get caught up in the day-to-day.
I'm busy doing other stuff.
I got about 100 posts waiting to post.
And I've got Gilmar, who's great at what he does and does a great job on our page, like capturing what's going on. So it's just kind of like, it's not always like the top of my priority, but YouTube was such like a huge thing for us. Like, probably the majority reason why Gilmar came on, besides like the podcast, was our YouTube channel. Like, I knew, like, and this was even like, not even everybody in our company necessarily understood it or supported it, but I'm like, we have to build a YouTube channel. This is Instagram is saturated.
It is.
YouTube is the next thing. Video is the next thing. For people to go and kind of like follow along with us every build or every week or doing all of that, like, it's going to be critical for us to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack, because very few other builders, even in the country, are doing the YouTube content that we're doing. It's taken us a little while to get to the level where we were happy putting content out, but we're kind of like, we're showing a level of transparency that nobody else seems to be comfortable showing. Mm-hmm. And it's important to me because, like, the level of homes we're building or renovating and the quality we bring comes at a cost. And people don't realize that, like, that cost, I mean, it's time. We're solving problems. It takes time to make things look the way they do. We just don't show up and then a week later you have this. Yeah. And it was really important for me to, like, educate potential customers, future customers, existing customers. Like, this is what it takes to get this. And then they're like, oh, wow. So they have so much more respect for the struggle when you show them that, like, hey, everything doesn't run smoothly. There's no construction project that I've ever been on where everything goes according to plan. Yep. I used to get so mad, especially when my brother was working. When things would go off the rails, I'd be furious. I'm like, well, we planned, like, everything. And he's just like, dude, like, this is what happens. And, like, I was young and immature, but now, like, when problems come up, sometimes they still get the best of me. But usually I have, like, the ability to be like, hey, look, like, this is today's problem. We got to solve it. We're good at that. It's not, you can't see everything that's going to happen. You can plan for it. And, like, the plan is there. So you have, like, a basis or a foundation to operate from. It does not mean that that's how it's going to go.
I think the transparency is huge because if like what we used to do, like, so we did have a YouTube channel, had a pretty good following, very broad reach, and we did a lot of tutorial videos. And I was literally like the protocols and the practices that I've developed, spent a few years developing now, that I consider to be the best way to do things. I was literally giving those away. And again, it's because for me to like what I've spent so much of my mind and time and effort into developing, to me, if that's the right way to do it, or maybe the best way, if I can give that to someone, to me, that's beautiful. And that transparency, I think, it rings true, or it cuts people deep, you know what I'm saying? And they respond to it, I think they saw that I was willing to give up, what I've learned over the years, just give it up. I think people get a lot of, you earn a lot of respect from that.
I heard a quote from a friend of mine a while ago that he's about my age and he's filthy rich, but he's also someone like yourself that has like immense integrity. And it was always very confusing for a lot of people, like how he figured it out. And then one time I heard him say, I'm like, well, I give 90% of it away for free and I charge a shitload for the other 10%. And I was like, that's it? And he's like, yeah, that's it. And he's like, because once you've heard the other 90%, like there's no question in your mind why you should pay me.
Yep.
And like that's when the YouTube and the Instagram clicked for me.
Yes.
I was like, we're gonna show and showcase our business in such a way. Like we're getting better at like doing the email blasts so more people see the YouTubes, or like trying to build the community around the business.
Yeah.
We do like social gatherings and meetups. We got one coming up. It's secret, but you guys are invited.
Cool.
This one's a closed event.
Yeah.
Beer and Wood 4 or 5
Yeah,
now.
4 or 5.
And it just kind of like we get a ton of haters on the YouTube channel, which we've
There
learned
is
to
hate. There is definitely haters.
we've learned to appreciate them. But the people that like I've spoken to, and I haven't really been posting to my Instagram account of that consistently, but I still have connections that I've built with other people that will reach out to me for help.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, hey man, I'm struggling with this part of my business. I know you guys do like think a lot about this stuff, or I'm having trouble with my guys getting them motivated. And I'm like, every time I get an opportunity, I didn't really respect it until like maybe the last 2 years, and especially the last 6 months, where like I've helped a few people out, where it's like, hey, look, like I was undervaluing the impact I like I thought I was going after customers.
No.
But what I was really doing was helping other people make money and put food on their tables. And once that clicked for me, I'm like, we can help these people help themselves, or like better their lives from what we've already experienced. I was like, there's no question in my mind that I want to do that.
So I started YouTube to help the business, I thought it'd be beneficial, and it was, but what got me to start making videos, better quality videos, and motivated me to keep making videos was exactly that. The people reaching out and saying, hey, this helps me,
It's like instant rocket fuel. You're like,
yes.
I helped you.
Yes.
They're like, oh, we had that problem. Like we didn't know how to fix it, or different things. It's this psychic energy that you get where it's just like you instantly feel, charged up, or you feel better about like the whole future of the world when you're like, oh, I helped somebody.
Yeah, but even from a client standpoint, homeowner standpoint, I will say that they see your work. Then, reviews are one thing. Like we have over 100 on different platforms, all 5 stars. That's one thing. People love that. But when they see the actual content, the process, and the expertise, the knowledge, the skills being deployed in a video, I mean, they call me and they're like, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, well, I'm a couple months out. They're like, I don't care. You're the guy. Like it's all there. It's a much different thing. It's a much different approach to meeting a client, I will say.
Yeah, and I think in the day and age that we live in, like, so there was before social media where you had to buy like a billboard for like 5 G's a month, and then, take out newspaper ads and network and go to breakfasts and things like that. And that, like, I can't imagine how difficult it was to sell work back then.
Home Improvement Guide.
Yeah, and now you have the opportunity. That's why when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I'm starting out in business, like, I'm like, well, are you staying consistent with your social media? And they're like, oh, that's just not that important to me. I'm like, it should be one of your top things, showing how you are different than everybody else and how you can make a difference. And then when you get to like a level that we're at where it's like very saturated, like you can choose anyone to build your home.
Yep.
There's tons of amazing home builders in our area. We live in a very like from, Connecticut down to Washington, D.C., there's a lot of money. There's a lot of wealth. So it's like you think you're the best, but you're also competing with like 45 other home builders who also think they're the best. And some of them have been around for 45 years or more. So you got to like, the way I was looking at it was like, look, we got to differentiate ourselves. We got to show ourselves in a way that's like very authentic, because it's everybody goes on Instagram and they see the girls and the guys and you're like, that's a fake butt. That dude's biceps are fake. He's on steroids. Like everybody sees it and they get caught up in it, but like they know it's not real.
Yes.
Deep down inside, in your core, like
yes.
you let it affect you and you're like, oh, I'm not working out hard enough, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. And it affects you. But then every time I get the full story, I'm like, oh, steroids. It's like, oh, billionaire father paid for all your trucks. It's like, no wonder this looks so easy. It's like you're not showing the whole picture.
Yep.
So when you come out and you show the whole picture, or as much of it as you can at least capture with a camera and a microphone, like people, even if they don't like realize it at like the forefront of their mind, like deep down inside,
Yep.
they trust it more because they're like, oh, they're struggling. Like that's real to me, because they're struggling. Everybody is struggling. So if you're acting like you're not struggling, somewhere in your body, that person's lying.
Yeah, they really it's an inner like resonation.
Yeah.
You feel it.
I mean, it happens to everybody. I think that's like the victimization of social media.
Yep.
Is that it's like very easy to paint the picture you want or the narrative you want, and you think you're doing right by people by like only showing your life, and or maybe you don't even think about it, but like you think like you're doing yourself justice by like not showing the negative or showing the mistakes or different things like that, or being transparent, but you're really like you're slowing your brand growth.
Yeah. And even you'll see like YouTube, like not even like building construction aside, channels, whether it's gaming, media, covering media, whatever it is, there's a rise and fall, and a lot, or probably all the falls, are due to a lack of integrity. Or are we going for clicks? You know what I'm saying? Especially once the channel gets to reach a certain height. Like I watched a lot of YouTubers that follow YouTubers, and they'll cover the rise and fall of channels. And it goes back to what you're saying. It's like eventually people catch on to the bullshit.
There's no shortage of content for us.
Yeah.
Because there's always problems. There's never not going to be problems for us to show.
Yeah.
But like if you're showcasing like how excellent your life is or how perfect you guys are, you're gonna run out of worthwhile stuff.
Yep.
Because eventually it's just gonna be like, the grass is green every day here. People are gonna be like, all right, green grass episode again. It's like they want to see the struggle because that's what resonates with people. And they also like how you navigate the struggle extra resonates with people. You can't just be the victim. You got to like show how you navigated being a victim and ultimately prospered, which is like what you're doing by saying like you're not like a victim in the sense that like people are abusing your wires or anything like that, but you're like, hey, like the struggle is I could go this easy path.
Yep.
But I'm choosing the harder path because it's better, and this is why. And I think like that's probably, if you've only been in business for a few years now, I could see a lot of great things like coming for you guys like long term because you've established those.
We're doing things, and we're in homes that I've worked for a few companies, and we're doing things that they've never touched 10 years plus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're in crazy homes, which is awesome. Like, it's still surreal to me. I'll stop and I'll be like, Steve, like, this is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's actually crazy because I've been to hundreds of homes and met hundreds of clients and done so much work. And it's like, it's crazy the level we've gotten to in such a short amount of time. And I throw it back to integrity. Just do the right thing. It's that simple. It really is that simple.
Yeah.
Just do the right thing.
It seems really hard for people sometimes.
I guess. I don't know. And like I said, I feel like most people, they start businesses, companies solely to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not trying to put that down, but I think that it's a different rate of growth, different level of success.
You could still do well. My same buddy, I'm not going to blow his spot up, but my same buddy that came up with like the 90% quote, also said something to me years ago that like just blew my mind away and completely like overnight changed how I looked at things. And he was like, you either can help a lot of people really well for very little money. Like, you say you make a song and you sell it for 99 cents, but you sell 1 million songs. Like, that's fine. Or you help people that have a specific problem and you charge a lot of money for it. But like, ultimately it comes down to like making money is how you're helping people. And it's like, if you're not really solving a problem, don't expect to make any money. Yeah. And when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, what problems are we solving? Or like, what are we doing for people? And like overnight, the business changed.
Yeah, I will say one cool thing about audio, video, data, whatever you want to call it. I guess we're officially called CIs, custom integrators.
CIs.
Yeah, CIs. So one of the best parts of this thing is that our work, as opposed to your work, and nothing wrong, our work gives so much enjoyment to the home, the homeowners, the inhabitants of the home. Like, when you put a theater room together and the people actually care, like, the kids are in there every day. You know what I'm saying? So for me to do that, for someone to like literally provide endless hours of family fun, enjoyment, to me, that's really cool.
Yeah, the way we look at it is like we're giving people a place for their life to happen.
That's a beautiful thing too.
It's like kids are going to have their first birthday party here. They're going to take their prom pictures on the stairs. That's
beautiful.
They might only have one kid, but they'll have 3 more kids, and they'll experience that. Like the Buckingham House, we're trying to get them out there for like a series of pictures with the kids at the house as it's being built. So like someday when they're old angry teenagers, they can be like have these pictures on the wall where it's like, this is, you're standing in the kitchen that was this.
Yeah.
And like, that's when I finally appreciated that.
Yep.
Things also changed for us again.
Big factor.
Because it's like, I thought we were just building houses and cranking them out. It's like, no, we're creating a place for like someone's life to happen.
Yeah, that's where everything's gonna happen. The good, the bad, the ugly. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I feel bad for Steve. He keeps reaching out for Rambo, and Rambo keeps giving him the cold shoulder.
Steve, what's up with you?
Yeah. So did you have to go to Steve? Did you have to go to school to work with this guy here, or like how'd that all work out?
So pre-COVID, I was working at BMW in New Jersey, to the town next of where we live, and
you were selling Beamers or working on them?
I actually started out as a valet and worked my way up to parts sales at the end of my leave, but they put me through 1.5 years of schooling for a technician. So I went to BMW headquarters, got certified. It wasn't really working out for me. I was training a lot of jiu-jitsu, and at the time I was very more focused on jiu-jitsu compared to work. And then I realized, okay.
As one should be.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't hate on that.
But the thing was, I was commuting to the city after work, living in Jersey, commuting 3 hours a day to go train 3 hours after
Where
work.
were you training?
Unity.
Okay.
In New York. It definitely was one of the best things I could have done. A lot of people, I didn't go to college. I went to jiu-jitsu. Like, it's not the smartest thing to do, but it taught me a lot of things that a lot of people don't learn. And it's taught me to, one, be humble, and to be passionate, and to be open. Because in jiu-jitsu, one thing is there's all types of people working. There's cops, there's police, there's like school people, there's FBI, there's your regular, your contractors, and everybody gets along there, So for me, I was like, this is a cool thing to see. Like, everybody's getting along, everybody's working hard. It depends where you go. A lot of it gets watered down, but when you go to a school that really works hard, you see, people go to work, people come here, they're not thinking about other things, they're thinking about just putting in the hard work, and that also has resonated towards integrity, showing up to a class after work is something that's not really easy, when you're working 10 hours a day or something like that.
And you're on your feet.
Yeah,
like
you're in an office chair.
you're losing energy as the minutes go on through a day like that.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot, but I'm just grateful that, I got the experience through BMW to help me put together more on my resume, and then that transitioned over to wiring. And, it kind of played out as in, like, we were working in new or built homes that were just finishing up the process, like this one client, but that helped me put things into perspective, as in, like, okay, now the walls are coming up. This is how the wires are ran behind the walls, because I had no previous experience with houses.
Yeah.
I had experience with cars and stuff like that, driving them, working on them, and then selling parts. But when it came to houses, it was very different. I always looked at a house as I'm going there, I'm sleeping, I'm eating, this and that. Now I know the ins and outs of a house. I take everything, I look at it, and I'm like, this could be a different way.
Have you ever seen The Matrix?
A while ago, but
Yeah, when you start seeing the code in the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I look at home building.
Well,
I can walk through people's houses now, like especially we were looking at like a remodel project this afternoon, and you just walk through and just like kind of like you have like X-ray vision. You're like, I see everything. I know where the ductwork is. Like, this is all the stuff.
I taught him the eye, so like whenever I walk into, like, let's say we're going out to dinner, I'll start looking at everything. Okay, the piping's ran this way, the wiring's this way, this is not good, this good.
Trim's screwed up here.
Nothing's level, nothing's square.
Yeah.
So I taught him that eye, how to go in and look at that stuff. But what happened was COVID, right?
COVID.
So COVID happened. They pretty much laid him off at BMW, along with everybody else in the world, whatever. And then I said, come work for me. Let's do this thing,
Yeah.
And it just, from there, flourished. It's a beautiful thing. But I definitely threw him in the fire, like probably similar to you.
Yeah.
I expected more than he could possibly do.
Well, actually, like to be fully transparent, I was actually in the fire with my brother figuring it out. He knew he's only 2 years younger than me, so like there's not the distance you guys have. So like we were kind of learning things together, which is kind of like a little bit different. You definitely have a little bit more support with somebody that.
Yes. Well, I have an awareness, dude. I learned as I went too. Like, nobody taught me anything. Even at the other AV company I was working at, they didn't even know how to spackle a wall. You know what I'm saying? Or a cut they made. And what I do, again, simple. I apply logic and reason to things. You apply logic and reason to something, and hey, maybe the first time around it's not the best. But when you apply logic and reason and develop a protocol on any particular thing, how to cut a wall, how to patch a wall, how to wood brace before you patch a wall, what size screws to use. We use 1.25 screws for a reason. The screw can't go through the drywall and through the wood brace and go into something else, whether it's a wire, pipe, like down to the size of screw we use for the particular application. I have figured out and decided this is the way to do it. And it's like I said, nobody taught me anything. I learned as I went, and logic and reason, baby.
Yeah. So how many brothers and sisters do you guys have?
I don't know.
So we have,
It's a mess. It's a mess.
We have 2 older sisters, and then another brother that's in between of like us.
Yep.
He's 28 now.
Yeah.
He's a beast at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You guys all
they're
jits.
nasty. They're nasty. I'm more of a beginner, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They went to Unity, and it was a killer school, man. It's
Yeah.
a comp school.
It makes all the difference going to a comp school versus like your Gracie Academy or something like that. It's
You could see it on the mat, dude. I mean, they're dusting people.
yeah, it's not even that. It's just like the way you were like, hey, I didn't go to college. I went to jiu-jitsu. Like a school like Unity is teaching you way more about perseverance, not quitting, not giving up, getting, your ass handed to you and keep coming back. Where, I often think, Lance Bachman talked about this on an episode like probably a while ago, where he has and his kids just won states for wrestling, and they're like little kids.
Oh shit.
But like he was like, oh, they don't have to be good, they just have to like keep working. And like that's why I think little kids should go to wrestling from a young age, because like being a wrestler or jiu-jitsu or like judo or anything that's like a contact like grappling sport teaches you, I'll call it grit.
Yeah.
Like it teaches you something where
Rigor.
it's like, yeah, you're not like you're literally putting, skill and technique against someone, and eventually your skill and technique is going to have to go up to like also athleticism. So like you have to like learn how to manipulate people that are either bigger than you, better than you, find the gaps, and you know, you probably know this, but like a lot of people don't realize like jiu-jitsu is a chess game with your body.
100%.
Like you're applying, and I'm still like, I feel like the more I learn, the more I'm like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because like you're like the way you're applying your grips, your pressure, like it's making you vulnerable or defensive. Like, and people at that higher comp level, like, will humble you very quickly, and they'll also be very unassuming people. Because you don't need to be all like jacked up and tattooed or have, you know, I've had people kick my ass that like walking down the street, I'd be like, I beat the shit out of that dude.
Yeah.
And you get into the gym with them and it's like, no, no, dude.
So I'm 150 pounds, and the worst person I've ever rolled with, actually, like the best person I've ever rolled with, is 130 pounds. He was a Brazilian kid. He's probably been training for, I don't know.
He came out of the womb. He rolled out of the room.
Literally. So he's been training for about 15 years. He's a black belt. This is my 7th year of training, but I would say, like, I understand the basic concept of jiu-jitsu.
Meow?
No, not Meow. This kid, Jonas. But he, not, like, I don't know, just not even me, but, like, what he does to other black belts, double, triple his weight, is, like, it's like cutting butter with, like, a hot knife, you know?
Damn.
Yeah. Do you know who Mikey Musumeci is?
Yeah.
So I've trained with him a little bit and like gone to a lot of classes that he was coaching and like or seminars and things. And like he's a very small dude, and he dominates 3 different weight classes right now. And to watch his knowledge and how he articulates it and his understanding of anatomy, because how much he understands jiu-jitsu, like he knows more bones and ligaments than like most people in a hospital know. He's like using his language isn't like, hey, grab behind the knee. It's like, hey, stick your fingers in like you're a rock climber and make monkey grip and hit the patella, and like that's the ligament right here. And when you flip this way, bolo, like you're going over, like it's just like you're
minutia.
Like this,
Beautiful.
This minimal thing that you take for granted, like he has thought about and curated in his brain and then given it to you.
Definitely.
And you're like, I there's no, you look at that individual like that at that caliber, and you're just like, or caliber, you're just not, you're like, I'm never going to be that good, because you're dedicating your life to this path, and you're basically like a you're, I don't know, what do they call a master chess person?
Grandmasters?
Yeah, like he's like grandmaster of the jiu-jitsu.
So the thing is with us is we work 40 hours minimum a week, you know? A lot of people that we train with don't really work.
Oh no, they roll in at 11 o'clock class, then they lay on the mats on Instagram, they stretch, they get some food from across the gym, and then like the evening class starts and they do that, and then they roll until midnight, and they post the sweaty mats on their Instagram, and then they sleep back in until 10 a.m. It's like, no, like I go to the gym before work.
That's nice.
And then like for just like fitness, and then like if I get to jiu-jitsu, it's after work or in the middle of the day or on Saturdays and Sundays. So it's just like I'm constantly just like either training in the morning, working all day, training at night, and it's just like maintaining that tempo is impossible. It comes with a cost, because like I would find I would get hurt real easily. My life would fall apart in other ways, because I wouldn't be sleeping or doing like my reading or educating or responding to eat. Like you have to find that balance with jiu-jitsu. Otherwise you're just like, you have to either be all in and just be happy just not having anything but jiu-jitsu, and there's no disrespect there, or you kind of have to be like okay with like being on like the slower journey and do it for those reasons. If like you're expecting to go in there and be at their level, like you have to be real with yourself and be like, I'm not going to be at their level because I'm choosing more than one path.
That dude, it's hard to train. It's hard to sleep. Like you hit a 6, like we'll go 6, Tuesday 6 to like 8. I can't sleep after that.
Yeah,
like
you
12.
come home
like normally I'm in
jazzed
bed
up.
by 8 o'clock. Like
Whereas
most days.
Movement Art in Richborough is like their evening classes start at 7.
Yeah.
So you get out of there at like 9.
You're not going
9:30.
till 12.
I go home and I'm like, I eat dinner at that point. I'm sitting in front of the TV just fired up.
Yeah.
Because and it's not like you
You're
want
lit
to
up.
be. It's just that like you literally just like use it all. Gilmore came to my first jiu-jitsu competition ever.
Yeah.
I went up a weight class because I thought I was legit. Did not go well.
But that's comp. It's a good thing, you know.
Also, a lot of people cut weight from the weight class that they're already in, so you get the disadvantage.
It was the humbling experience I needed.
Definitely.
I was like, dude, my skill, but it was like not a huge event, so I thought it was like grappling industry. So I thought
really?
like everybody's gonna do what I'm doing, but it was literally like the dudes that I was like the one guy, like the one Russian kid. I was like, dude, what your cauliflower ears have cauliflower? Like I was like, you obviously like just him manhandling the other people. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fight him. And it sucks. And I eventually like I'm not even ashamed of it, but like I was so torn up at that point that I literally just bowed out of that match because I was like I had nothing left to give.
Yeah.
And that was like match 4 or 5 into like my weight class. And I was like, dude, I got nothing left.
And people don't realize once you get older, it's not fun getting injured.
No.
Like, injuries suck.
Well, I
in
could say
general.
I think getting injured at any age probably sucks, but when you get older, you don't bounce back as quick at all.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Like I've had this wrist thumb thing for I'm going on like 2 months now. It's almost better. But like when I like would put down or I would like post on my hands or like post shoulder or hip or anything like that, like I could feel my wrist just like and I'm like to the point where somebody one time was like I think it was Silas. I was getting ready for that Saturday function and he's just like, yo dude, what's up with your wrist? It makes a noise. And I'm like, he's like, we need to get that looked at, bro. And he kind of looked at me like real sternly like, dude, go get it looked at. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
Are you the type to not go to the doctor?
I just think sometimes I think it'll get better.
Yeah.
Like sometimes
I'm the same way.
Yeah. I never go. I don't know. I feel like it's just I don't know. They're gonna try to PT you or something like that. It's just like, how many sessions do you need? Or it's like, I don't know. Like this lasted years. Like I thought it was a jump. I should have did a pass on the snowboard trails. You know,
Okay.
park. I should have done a pass to see to figure out the jumps. I thought it was a jump, but it was a spine. So I went straight up and straight down.
Oh.
And I landed on this hand, which then destroyed the shoulder. And that took years to heal. Like,
yeah.
And I don't think there's any way around that. I don't know how much PT is going to get around that.
PT
but-
has fixed some incredible things.
Really?
Yeah, I very much respect those people. I wish I had a teleportation device. I wish I could just like see PT and then back to the office. But like the fact is, you have to make time for self-care.
Yeah.
And that's not something I really respected until, honestly, I met my wife.
Yeah.
Honestly, before that, I was like for instance, like I met my wife in like the summer of I guess like 2017. A few months into like us dating, I crashed a motorcycle in 95. 3 weeks after that, I ran the Philadelphia Marathon with like my hip was like green. I was like, got this. And then like years later, I'm like, oh, it's like tight when I do. And she's just like, yeah, you remember that time you didn't fix any of your muscle tissue or like allow yourself to heal or like taking care of my body kind of like came out of like taking care of my mental health. Got tons of mental health issues. And like as I've learned to like deal with them and work through those things and stuff, like it gave me more of an appreciation for like the physical body.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, it's like I was such an asshole to like my
problem
wrist.
is like I'm maniacal, so like I do my own PT. Like I'll do yoga, I'll do mobility and stability stuff, and like I know how to fix myself. But problem is, if I get on the mat, I'll spend a couple hours on the mat. I'll go crazy. Like when I run too many miles. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I just like pushing it and. It's just me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like yoga, like I'll go in and it's supposed to be a recovery session, but it ends up being a super challenging session.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. I don't know. I like the rigor, I guess.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Have you witnessed this?
Yeah, definitely.
Foolishness.
He's
Broken.
pushed me miles in running, and running is not my thing to do.
Yeah, I don't look like it, but I could run. I've been running, I think it's 3 seasons now. Second season, I got up to 8 miles. It's pretty good for like 0 miles. It was, dude, the first season was really running. I gained a whole new respect for runners because I started doing I was trying to do half a mile, and then I was like, all right, 1 mile, and then you get to 3, and then you get to 5, and dude.
Runner's high is no joke.
Yes.
People
It's addicting.
people don't realize that like they think running just sucks, but like you get to a certain point when you're running.
Yes. Very
that
meditative.
you kind of just get into this like zone. It takes weeks, months sometimes for people to get to that like space. But once you reach that zone where you can just like, you're just cruising, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Especially when I lived in the city, Philly, you guys think a city is the real city.
Yeah.
We live in Philadelphia as a town compared to where you guys are at. Rambo's chewing a Ninja Star. No big deal, dude. Chill out on my Ninja Stars, bro.
No, but I used to hate running. Like, I hated running.
But running in the city is cool because it gives you a lot of, like, objectives.
Well, I hate flats. I run trails. I hate pavement and I hate flats.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just like the rocks.
It's not as fun as being on a trail because you get to just look around and kind of.
I used to run in like paper thin Merrills, and like I couldn't walk for days. Like my feet were so bruised up, like golf balls under my feet.
Yeah, but that's why you were talking to me like how you couldn't go back to any other shoes but the Vivos.
Yeah.
Like the reason is because you probably got monkey feet, dude. your feet probably don't fit in any other shoes. Like my wife does all kinds of like.
Toe gap?
She's way into fitness, and she has like. These pull up the toe thing she did where like she was literally she bought these like things that put on her toes to like make her toes like more strong wide ways, and I'm just kind of like, this is getting out of control. And
it's toe gap.
Is that what
toe
it
spread?
is?
Yeah.
She'll literally just sit there and we'll be watching TV and she'll have her foot up on the coffee table and just be like,
we were talking about
and I'll be
toe
like,
gap.
what are you doing?
We were talking about on the way here. We're nutty. I don't know. It's just our thing. Like, I don't know. Like, going back to, like, the mental health thing, dude, fitness, I mean, it does so much for me,
It's
mentally.
like, I would say fitness and being good in fitness and also doing it is probably, like, at least half the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to work through your stuff, but it just does so much for me to go for a run. And like I said, I used to hate running, but to me, a perfect Saturday or Sunday now is go hit a 3 or a 5 and then hit the gym. And to me, it's the most beautiful day ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nutrition as well, too. Nutrition is a big part of, like, my mental health. Is like, I can train, I could run, but when it comes to, like, making the right choice on eating, like, if I eat a burger, my day's ruined after I just had a great training session. But, like, if I stick to a smoothie and, like, some grilled chicken or something, I will feel so recovered and just better off. But I don't know. I love food and food sometimes.
Same. Gilmar's my support system today. Today we went to Gilmar's actually a chef.
Wow.
Yeah, you used to be a chef professionally. Now I know.
He quit the game. He hung up the
spatula.
The spatula.
Why'd you quit? I'm actually curious.
It just the industry just wasn't what I wanted to be in anymore. I felt
Did Ramsey ruin it for everybody?
I mean, I don't know. It was just kind of.
He was at a great restaurant.
Yeah.
He could have gone and done like you could have pursued that path very far from where you started.
For sure. I mean, it kind of goes back to what you guys were talking about with integrity. I felt that every day I'd go into work and no one gave a shit about what was going on except their paycheck. So that kind of just turned me off to the whole thing. And every restaurant nearby was kind of experiencing the same shit. I'd hear stories from other chefs and other people where it's all guys are quitting left and right. They only care about how much they get paid per hour. And I was just kind of like, that's not what I want to do anymore. And then I've always been a creative person. So Andrew approached me, and then now we're here.
That's a lie. He approached me, and we locked eyes.
But yeah, what were you saying today? Nutrition, you said?
Yeah. So today we went to the spot behind our building. It's called Just Foods. It's actually like a catering business, but they have like prepared foods inside there. You guys should check it out. It's like literally in that like strip, and you can't mess it up. It's Just Foods, and they have a pretty decent menu of like sandwiches and stuff. Yeah. And I'm going in there and I'm signing up the smoked brisket sandwich, and I'm like, yeah, bad boy. Gilmore's like, I'm gonna get this fajita.
Yeah, it was a grilled chicken fajita.
And I looked down and I looked at the ingredients and I looked back up at the ingredients of the sandwich I was gonna get, and I was like, make it 2 fajitas. And I feel honestly, you remember the last time I had that sandwich, the pork or the brisket sandwich from over there, it was stanky in the office that day.
Yeah.
Everybody knew Andrew didn't eat something good that day. Yeah, people were just leaving. Yeah. Like, oh God, are you all right? I'm like, I'm dying on the inside. But today, like I ate that at like beans, corn, the grilled chicken, fajita wrap.
Yeah,
it's good to go.
It was bomb.
Yeah, so I sympathize. I don't always make like the good food choices, especially like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
our kind of business. Like you're working and you're like, all right, let's just go grab some food, and you're like, that place, and you're
Yep.
like, next thing you know, you're, you know, a truffle burger deep.
Yeah.
So that's
Some
awesome.
fries. Yeah.
What have you? Did you guys go out to eat last night?
Oh gosh, dude! Last night we made a horrible decision.
You went
go.
to Chick-fil-A.
No. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to trash any
Can I
place
say the
not cool.
story about that?
What
Just say the name.
Well, I'm not gonna
Just say the name.
But I looked up a cheesesteak place, and at the cheesesteak
Ah.
place, if you want, you could even look at the picture on Google.
What is
but
it?
there's a cockroach in the sandwich.
No fucking
What place is
way.
this?
Steve's Cheesesteaks, unfortunately.
He said the fucking name.
Steve Steaks.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that place is closed.
Really? No, I
Yeah,
thought I
Steve
saw it
Steaks on. Well, let's look it up.
Well, there's a
If you got
couple-
cockroaches in your sandwiches, you're. I don't mean to blast you, but you're blasted already.
Shit, I can't spell.
So
it.
we were tired and stuff, so we just wanted to get some food, and that's what we ended up doing was just ordering some food, and it was horrible too, but not as bad as Steve's.
This one?
Oh.
I
Nah,
don't know. It has to be the one closer to us in I don't know where the hell are we?
nah. We're in, just look to Doylestown. Where are you guys staying?
I don't know.
How are you gonna get back there?
Dude, we're a younger crowd, and we're addicted to GPS. So
I feel you.
I don't know where I
I
am
don't think it's Steve.
without the Google.
I don't think it's the
just
Princess Steak.
Steve. Yeah, and then it's like
I think it's just Steve Steaks. I think it's right in town. I think it's out of business.
Mm.
Oh no, but we were at the Target in like a not so great part of town. I think that was the issue. But
Where the hell are you guys staying?
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
not so
This
great
sounds
part of
very
town.
vague.
No, so we went to the Target that wasn't all the food had like 3 stars. Like we were getting out of Target, we were tired, we were like, we'll just grab something on the way. Everything had 3 stars, so we're like, okay, we'll go back to the hotel. Found a place, 4.2 stars, ordered some burritos, and they were actually awful. Like just truly
Damn.
awful. It was
Damn.
pretty bad.
We need to so
But-
you guys don't get like assaulted or kidnapped or
Yeah.
anything. You guys will tell us after we're done recording where you guys are staying at, and we'll get you some.
Well, I saw your recommendations. We're definitely gonna go somewhere tonight and get some rectify what happened yesterday.
Nice.
Disaster, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's
we
up.
gotta make it right.
Yeah, so are you guys staying near like I-95, like closer to Jersey, or are you guys like?
No,
Let's just
we're
get to the
about-
bottom of
We're
this.
about 20 minutes. Yeah, we're about 20 minutes out from the job site. I will
Mm.
turn my data on.
We're like playing a
Maybe
game of
Warrington,
Clue right now.
Warrington,
Yeah.
maybe.
Something. Let's see. Yardley?
Oh, you're staying in
You're in
Yardley?
Yardley?
Dude, I live in Yardley. He lives across the bridge.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking Sunday off.
Shit, they might have gone to Steve's.
They might have gone to Steve's. And
Oh,
like,
no.
No, we didn't go to Steve's because of the pictures that we saw.
But
Oh,
can we
okay.
pull up Steve's Princess Steaks in Langhorne? That's the one we're talking about here.
Is that the one?
I frequent this establishment. I don't frequent it that much, but I definitely have eaten there a few times. This place?
No, because it had horrible
it
reviews.
had. Oh wait, I think it could have been. Yeah.
Oh, Gerald Nelson. He's got the roach in there.
No, I think a little bit further down.
This could have been it.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Oh!
Oh!
That's a fake fucking roach.
Is it?
Yeah.
That has to be.
That
That
has
looks
to
like
be
a
a
fake
fake
bug. Look at it. It's plastic.
Dang, I feel bad now.
Yeah, you trashed it.
Steve's Princess Steaks is still strong, and I've eaten there. I'm proud of it.
All
I
right,
would
so we're
so-
going to Steve's tonight.
Who jokes and does that?
Yeah,
though?
why the
some
fuck would you do
some
that?
hater. They got
That's pretty
haters.
messed up. Can we talk about that for like Google reviews? So it's tough because I'm always worried about like people leaving. I mean, we don't have any bad interactions, but anybody could go on there and do something of this
Yeah,
nature. It's a rough deal.
It's happened to us because of a past business relationship I had that kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Not in the best of ways.
Yeah.
Decisions were made and had to be made, and there was a customer that was affected of it, and like he felt upset by it, even though the situation was explained to him.
Yeah.
And he left a review on a newer businesses page. And like I was like, what can we do about this? And at the time, the partner I had like reached out and tried to rectify it, and it was
Yeah.
just like no.
No recourse.
And then I had like back in the day, we were flipping houses in Philly when we used the designer and she sucked and like hooked me up with like another contractor to do work for us who really screwed us over. And she left me a 1-star review on a business that wasn't even established yet.
Wow.
And I literally messaged her and I was like, can you take this down? Like when we're like, we're not setting this business. We're like in setting this up. Like it doesn't even, you're reviewing a business that doesn't exist yet. It's separate from this construction relationship. And I swear to God, I told her via text, I was like, if you had a fucking Google page, I'd burn your page down. I wouldn't even leave you a review. I would do something. I don't know what I would do, but you were like, we are suing everybody involved here and we're going to be suing you now. And you have the balls to like, and we worked it out. Yeah. And we ultimately didn't even set that business up or like finish setting that up because like other lucrative things popped up that were more.
That's another thing though.
But it's like people, there's no way to like say like whether or not this person, you can make 1 million fake Google accounts and give yourself 5-star reviews. Yep. If you wanted to float your, like there's nothing to it. That's why like the content game is the real business. And then the second thing is like referrals. Like our business operates predominantly, like we do get leads through social media, but I would say 90% of our leads come through word of mouth. They're like, we heard from this person, we saw this house you built for our friend, we want that. And that's why the way we take care of customers is so important to us. Yeah, because one customer can get you 10 customers. Yeah, I would say it like builds. It's like, okay, so you start with 10, each one of the, even if 5 of those first 10 customers give you 10 more, that's 50 leads. Like, if you're new in business and you don't get that, yeah, and if you take care of them, and you also have to like push on them a little bit in the beginning of your business, be like, hey, we really need help getting our name out there. Like, can you whatever. And then you have people commenting on Facebook groups and stuff like that, like Lower Milkfield Yardley is a great place to live. It's like, oh, who needs a deck? Like, any deck recommendations? Like, we don't really, I mean, we will build decks, but like big decks. And it's, but like, you'd be like, oh, this company, and they'll tag us and be like, look. They're like, we can't get to it next week like you'd like us to, but if you want us to do it, we can do it. But it's always like, even if it's something we don't do anymore or don't want to do, it's always great to have people like shouting your name out there.
I have like, not to say we're above certain things, but we have evolved to a point where like we shouldn't be doing certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like we shouldn't. I can't waste a whole day the amount of TV. Yeah. Like we have certain needs as a company. You know, we have certain operational costs and we have certain needs. So like we need a full day's work or at least a half a day's work. You know. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
Call your local handyman with a level and lag bolt that bitch in and have them, it doesn't.
Well, one thing you mentioned,
require.
How do you find a good designer? Because we've met so many, and I swear, like
this is a nuclear kind of conversation here. This is not some. I don't know if we're gonna go down this road. I might just get out of control.
Is it possible? I've never met one that I want to work with again.
We have a designer that we're working with now. Our most recent relationship, she so far is very amazing. But she'll only do, and she was very upfront with us, she'll only do like 3 of our projects at a time. And the amount of projects she's doing at a time, 3. Well, so it's like, she's like, this is the amount I can do to deliver the quality. Other designers we have say yes to everybody, and next thing you know, a 1 or 2 person crew is doing 40 fucking jobs, and when you call them, they'll get back to you, but it won't be with the accuracy you need. Or
is that what it is? Like, why is there? In my experience,
it's inexperience.
So
it's a hobbyist business.
Okay,
it's like being a realtor.
Yeah,
it's like I'm just gonna be a realtor. It's like, but there's a huge difference between being a realtor and being that guy who's a realtor who's making millions of dollars a year. Like, that dude gets it. They're connecting people. Like, even if they're not making money. Like, I talked to a realtor friend of mine the other day who was trying to sell us a project in South Jersey that we're probably going to pass on. Mm-hmm. But he literally starts the phone call out with, yo, what's up, man? How are you doing? I'm like, good. How are you doing? He's like, all right, cool. Like, this is what I got, blah, blah, blah. How's things? How's this? And at the end of the conversation, he's like, yo, is there anything I can do for you? Like, is there anything outside of this conversation that you need? And I'm like,
interesting.
That guy is a high-level performer. Like, he is not to be played around with when it comes to the real estate game.
He understands the social paradigm.
He understands, like, when we were younger in business and, like, he probably couldn't even afford to do this, he was, like, getting 10 pizzas and dropping them off at the firehouse, and then going to the police station and dropping 10 pizzas off, shaking in hands, knowing everybody's name in a room, like helping people. Like he would hear so-and-so had a problem, and he would figure out a way to solve it for them. And he wouldn't even make any money. It was outside of real estate.
Yeah.
He built himself up as like a pillar of the community. So now when business gets done, it involves him on every level. So it's like people don't realize, and like designers are the type of people where it's like, I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to make houses nice. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Because like making houses look good in Pinterest pictures or Instagram pictures and serving a client are two different things. Gilmore, make sure you get me out of this conversation before I get too fired up.
You nailed it. Though. There is a
And
massive difference between those still images and actually handling the. Dude, logistically, it's a nightmare. Like, I would never want their job.
Yeah, and I went to school for architecture.
Yeah.
So like, I know how to design our projects on like almost all levels, right? So like when someone designs and they're so inferior at it, or they're not serving the project and like solving the problems, they're just making pretty things and expending money.
Yeah.
It's like great design is solved with like intent. It's like, this is the problem. This is what the space is going to be used for. We are going to make it that, no more, no less. Like, you don't want to build it too shitty, but you don't want to overbuild it. Because a lot of times what designers do is they want the clout. So they like put fixtures and they pick it out. And then like what the project you bid, it's like, holy shit, like the plumbing fixtures budget just went times 10.
Yeah, but then,
so it's like what you budgeted 10 grand for, you now got to like, all right, our customers can spend 100 grand on plumbing fixtures. This isn't realistic. Like, you picked all the nicest shit. Like you like, they go for like the visuals.
Yeah.
It's rare that you find a designer that's like understands they're solving problems.
Yes.
They teach that in architecture school, or at least in the school I went to. They're like, you're not, when you're they bring you back down to such a like a level you feel like a fucking child. And they're like, what is your space doing? And you're like, my space it's a room, god damn it. And they're like, no, but what are they experiencing in your room? Why is your wall curved here? And you would get into these critiques with like high level architects would come and like multiple times a semester critique your project. And you would have to like defend your project. And if you didn't know exactly why the fuck you were doing things a certain way, or have a amazing bullshit answer, like they would rip you apart. And you'd leave there being like, why am I an architect?
You ever play Minecraft?
No.
You never? I would imagine that would interest you to build little houses.
Nah, yeah. I was building
Minecraft.
SimCity and like Roller Coaster Tycoon and shit like that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was like I was launching kids off of roller coasters into the lake.
I've built so many Minecraft houses.
Yeah, I know Minecraft's a game.
Yeah.
That's the extent of probably what I know about Minecraft. Yeah. Not within like, that's just something I haven't gotten into yet.
Yeah.
Maybe next week you'll see me and I'll be like, look real tired, and you'll be like, yo, what happened?
You can get it on your phone.
Stay up all night.
Don't say things like that.
You can get it on your phone, play Minecraft.
Yeah, go
on your
PC
phone.
though.
Shit,
PC
dude.
or console. It's much better experience.
Yeah.
True.
But like going back to what you said, like, I don't even know how long ago. We're in the fucking wind tunnel.
Yeah.
But you were talking about like being a good installer and not necessarily being a good manager or whatever. Like, what you do is a trade. Leadership is a separate trade. So like when I got honest with myself and realized that I was a shit leader and focused like purely on becoming a leader, like as dumb as that sounds, like I'm going to be a leader. Like I literally like would read books on leadership, follow people, listen to leadership podcasts. Like I already read a lot. So then like I get into these wormholes where I read about like one subject, and I went like 2 years straight of just like, what does it mean to be a good leader? And like now when I deal with things, like I'm much less reactive. I can still be reactive because that's just like my personality, dealing with it. But like back in the day, I would just be pissed off for I'd be like, this didn't go right. But now it's like, all right, we need to coach this person. Like this person's not like on board. We didn't communicate clearly. Like when you have a problem with your business, it's always almost, I don't even say almost, all the time, 100% of the time, it's a leadership problem.
A good leader takes responsibility in this sense. He makes it his problem. You don't blame the staff member. You blame yourself and say, I didn't teach this person well enough.
Yeah, like I had an issue where I had a couple of our guys out on a new construction site yesterday, like solving a bunch of problems for me. And I was so busy yesterday. I was driving around like a maniac. And I came, and one of our best guys, I communicated to him what I thought was very clearly, and then left very quickly. Like I was like, I have to get to this meeting. I'm already fucking late. And then I came back, and what didn't happen was what I wanted. Like it just wasn't what I wanted to happen. And I communicated with him today about it. I'm like, look, dude, like don't take this personally, but like I fucking failed you. Like I don't understand how you didn't understand what I was saying, but I also know that I rushed out of there. I didn't give you the time I needed. I didn't make sure you thoroughly understood this. Like I did expect you to get it, and you did say you did get it. But like what I said and what I got were so fucking different that I failed. Like it could have been easy for me to like blame him for it and make it a him thing, but it was really a me thing. And it took years of failing to realize that it's always me.
Yep. But that's what separates you as a good leader.
Getting
earn
better
respect.
leader.
You don't command respect. You earn it.
Well, I also, when you do what we're trying to do as a business, you have to also be comfortable with hiring people that know more than you. Or you're never going to go anywhere. Gilmore, I constantly come up with ideas. I'm like, what do you think, Gilmore? Gilmore's like, nah, that's not going to work because of this. And I'm like, okay. I don't keep pushing on it, but sometimes I come on like, this is what we want to do. And he's like, all right, I can make that work. Let me figure this other part out that you don't fucking understand because you don't get what I do.
But that's good. He's shooting you straight. He's telling you honest. You know, it's good.
Yes, you don't want to surround yourself with yes people.
Yep.
And you want to hire people. Like I always thought the reason I went to architecture school was because like in construction I was growing, and then I found myself in meetings or in conversations where I was like, I didn't really fully understand what was going on, and I felt inferior. So I was like, all right, I'll go back to school and learn more of a trade so that like when I'm having conversations, I really, really know what's going on. And in doing that, I realized I was like, I don't need to know what's going on. If I'm the best at this, I can hire people that are the best at what they do, like you or like our electrician, and like explain to them what my problem is, and then trust that you're going to, steer our ship where it needs to go. And that's leadership. So I didn't even need to go to architecture school. I kind of like through my struggle through architecture school, that's when I kind of really got into leadership. Because then I was like, all right, well, now I'm going to lead people. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I want to be a good leader because that's how you grow a business. And I knew being a good leader meant growing the business well. And that's basically all it was. Like, so I selfishly got into leadership because I was like, I knew I wasn't doing a good job at it, and I wanted to do a good job at it. And then once I really understood what it meant to be a good leader and realized like how I had to become like a tradesman in that field as well and practice that art form, that's when I was like, oh, okay. It's like the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's like the more and more I lead, the more and more I like feel like, oh man, I got a lot more to learn. So it's just kind of like, it's all,
Yeah.
We're all works in progress. We're all beautiful men.
Yeah, we are.
Well, it's a part of being human, like
Yeah.
the leadership thing and being human, I think like the person that's more human, that's consciously thinking compared to unconsciously, will like let more of themselves go, and that'll give people a better example of who you are by saying, okay, this person obviously has emotion. He's not scared to show it, compared to other people who it's like they're just so straight on, and it's like, oh, this person never gets angry or anything like that. But behind the scenes, he lets it all out. Like if you could be transparent as possible and just being as human as possible, I think that can get you to be the best leader possible too, because leaders tend to be like so direct and stuff like that, but they don't, as everybody's human. I'm no different than anybody, and nobody else is different than any of us. So like, if you just treat somebody like a human, like straight, like, they have emotion, they have things going on, think about everything else that could happen. I think you can get to a level where understanding is, like a big part of it. Just understanding that everybody goes through everything, nobody has, or some people get it easier than others, but you can't
Learning
look at it
curve,
like
yep.
that. I never look at anybody saying like, oh, well, this person has a car and I have to buy my own, It's like, I like earning my own things, and that brings me back to jiu-jitsu, bring me back to Unity, like integrity. That instructor at Unity had the most integrity, like besides you guys here, like it's very far and few that you see a lot of integrity. And being at that school showed me like he puts his blood, sweat, and tears into the school. Like he slept there. Like that was his home for a while. And he had 500 students. He remembered everybody's name. It was just
That's impressive.
Murillo, yeah. How he teaches is just like what you want, like it makes you go there and like you're like, I need to be doing 110% because why am I wasting my time, his time, if I'm not being 110%? And then you carry that, and it's hard to find that because if you find that, then you can carry that throughout life and being like, well, why am I lazy here when I'm not lazy there? And then if you're not lazy throughout life, then you get the most potential out of your life.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know. That's just...
Well, that's like high performers. Like you see people that go from like being a high performer in one area and then they transition into a different area and they find success in that area too. And people think they just have like a gift, but that gift is like they work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
Hard work. Pareto principle.
yeah.
Have you heard of this thing?
What?
The Pareto principle. So like 10% do the bulk of the work.
Mm.
So 10% are carrying 90% of everybody.
Yeah,
And
I think I might have heard that.
It
before.
mathematically plays out. Like even they did a study where like they ran Monopoly, and no matter what, that 10%, like the money went to the 10% every single time. Like you can see it play out socially, financially, in every facet of human life. Check it out. I think Peterson did a podcast on it. It was pretty cool. Pareto principle.
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
That dude, that guy is I've read one of his books. I have one more to get through. Holy
What
shit.
do you think? What do you think?
It's you read that stuff and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like you definitely feel, at least for me, like I felt very like when I read the first one, which were I think the 12 rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first book he did that was like from the Quora website that he started that forum and he like kind of just ultimately evolved a book into like the 12 principles. Some of that part of that book was like really hard to read because it was like I felt very like vulnerable reading it. I'm like, oh wow, like this makes it puts things into perspective. It draws a lot of light to flaws I have or things that I've done or different things like that where it's just like, I understand this now. So
I get it.
Yeah.
Another good book, James Clear. He's who writes The Power of Habits. That book really helped me out because I used to think it was about a goal, but it's more about a strategy, like setting up a strategy is definitely more time, but setting up a goal is easy. I could say, I want to set a goal to have $1 million, but is that feasible? Is it possible? It can be, but if you have a strategy, figuring out a way to get to the end goal, which at the end of it is a goal, but if you have a strategy built for it and multiples, then you can kind of pick and choose and kind of narrate how it can go. I like that book because it helped me methodically plan my days better, like my work, my eating with jiu-jitsu and training. I used to just think like, oh, I'm going to wake up, work, and train, but it's not as easy as that when you have to try to plan your eating for having fuel later.
You got to pack your bag. You got to make sure you eat and hydrate.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you're drinking water so that you're not getting up to pee in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Or being too dehydrated, like not drinking enough, and then like the next morning you're like a starfish. You're just like, what is going on? Your body's tensing up. Like you're just like.
I just picture Steve, the starfish, like can't get out of bed, like just locked up.
Well, so
the ceiling's dripping on him.
It was, when we had that conversation before, like the sleep, like lack of sleep. When I was a technician at BMW, I would wake up at 5:50 every day, get out of work at 4:30, go to Newark train station by 5:20, take the train into New York at 6, get there at 6:20. Class would be at 6:30. I would train from 6:30 to 9:30, and then I would take the train home. And I would get home, I'd eat dinner at 11:30, shower, bed by 12:30, waking up at 5:50 in the morning.
Damn, fuck that.
After
beast,
so
but-
long, it mentally drained me and my body, and then it made me realize, like, okay, I'm not going to be a jiu-jitsu world champion, which is totally fine, you know?
Yeah.
I love working and I love training, but you got to separate the things. Like, being really real with yourself is sometimes, like, the most thing that you don't want to do, but, like, you know, you get caught up in, like, the moment with, like, you're training really hard and you're like, okay, like, all these people are competing and then they're traveling, but then you're like, I'm working. Like, I don't want to spend my money traveling and competing because, like, I have, like, a life to live for, you know? Other people think differently, which is totally fine, but it comes down to being real with yourself, I think, like, knowing what you want. Like, I want to have an ideal, like, little house or RV by the beach, you know? I don't want to be stuck in the rat race of, like, flying here and flying there to, you know, do something that posts a picture just for something, you know? Like, I like the hard work. And you could find other schools that are not like that aren't in major cities and stuff like that, but it's hard to. Back to the review thing, like, I wanted to bring this up because there's a lot of places that you look up reviews and they're totally fake too. Like, it's deception of, like, you want to go to a place that's good, you know, like, you go to, like, you or the Wire Ninjas to get good work, you know, you check the reviews, they're honest, but a lot of things I've encountered with certain, like, schools or stuff, I'm not going to mention any,
Yeah,
but
it's not. It's not trash.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu community is small. I don't want somebody to come up and rear naked choking me at the restaurant later.
But, like, there's a business to jiu-jitsu, and then there's the caring for jiu-jitsu, you know? Like, people pay, and they want to get promoted. For me, I want to put in the hard work and get it when it's earned, you know?
Yeah, I could never. I've trained at a Gracie Academy, and they follow, like, a strict, like, curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Tuesday, February 2nd. Okay, we're doing, you know, like, whatever, and we're doing, like, arm bars today. And it's like, if you show up if you get your card checked enough times, like, then you get a blue belt. Then you get your card checked enough times, and you get your purple belt. And it's like, people learn, be like, oh, I've been here 2 years. I've attended class 3 times a week. My purple belt's coming.
Wow,
And I'm
that's
like,
weird.
yeah, but I'm a blue belt, and I'm fucking your ass up.
Yeah.
So it's like changing to, like, a comp gym or a gym that just, like, doesn't care about that. Way better, because you're getting people there that, like, there's tons of people in the belt race,
Oh,
and I think it's like, okay, like, I do think, like, having the belt, like, is very representative of, like, where you are on your journey. I don't disrespect that at all, but, like, there has to be a level of, like, responsibility on the gym and the coaches and I almost said professors in Spanish. My bad. I was like, oh, professor. To, like, see everybody as an individual and be like, look, dude, this guy is maxing out his knowledge at this level. Like, he's ready for he is at the next level as an individual, not because he came to the gym. Like, if you come for 5 years straight and you still get, you know, your guard taken real easily, like, you shouldn't level up.
Yeah.
Like, that belt is representative of, like, this isn't karate. Like, this isn't, like, show up and throw front kicks. Like, it's representative of, like, your time and your knowledge of the sport. So like, I trained a lot of different open mats, and you go to different gyms, and it's like, oh, my belt means more than yours does. At a lower rank could mean more than upper rank. Like, when you get into rolling, you're like, wait a minute, you're a brown belt? It's like, oh, that makes me feel kind of weird. Like, you don't have it. Yeah. So I get what you're saying.
That happened to me, like, when I went to Unity, I thought getting beaten up every day was, like, the thing, you know? Like, I was like, oh, I'm just getting smashed every day. But then when I went to another school, it made me realize how much better it made me, you know? Like, getting smashed every day is the lesson you need in jiu-jitsu. Like, it should never be an easy thing. You should never just be submitting people. Like, it's a fighting sport. Like, you need resistance, you know? Like, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of upsetting, like, when you go to another school, and it's not upsetting that, like, somebody has a higher belt than you, but it's upsetting that they were almost deceived. It's hard to say that because some people are like, well, I put in the time and effort, and you were saying, like, 3 days a week for a year to 2 years. It's like, I don't know. It's really about being honest with yourself, like.
Well, I knew a girl at Movement Art that was a blue belt when I started there, and she eventually got her purple belt, but like she won a world title. Like she was kicking everybody's ass at blue. It's like, and when they gave her a purple belt, like we rolled that night, and I said to her, I was like, congratulations. I was like, no offense, this was long overdue. Like you've been smashing everyone in the world at blue belt. Like this. I already saw you at least a purple belt. Like I was like, this is kind of fucked up. That people will come into our gym and they look at your blue belt and they're like, oh, a blue belt girl, but they don't realize that like she's one of the best in the world. So it's like kind of like it's like a weird representation. Like the belt is more for you than it is for other people. People think they can come into a gym and like identify the skill based upon the belt, and like I have found that to not be true.
Yeah, 100%. It gets weird. There's so much going on. There's clicks. It gets clicky. People only roll or train with other people. Or same thing, like I'm a bigger guy. Like nobody wants to roll with me. I'll roll with anybody. Like I'm open. Like I'm there to learn. Like I keep a very open book when I go to class. Like I'm there to do two things. Number one is learn. And number two is to be a good student and to be a good partner. Like, I want to help my fellow student, teach him anything and everything I possibly can. Like, dude, if a guy's day one, or even if a guy's like I'll get into, like, I'm a white belt, like, I'll get into blue belts, and, like, if I'm smashing the guy, I'm like, I'll take it down a notch, and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or same thing, if a guy's, like, day one, like, you don't sit there and smash the kid. Like, so, like, all right, let's play guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to pass my guard, or I'll pass your guard, stuff like that. Like, I try to conform, I try to be malleable and conform to whoever it is I'm rolling with. But I'm there to learn, and I'm there to teach.
That's the problem I have with, like, sometimes with competition gyms is, like, they don't conform.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how my wrist got fucked up.
But, dude, you
it's
don't...
like, it's like, I was like, holy shit, like, you almost just fucked my entire hand up. Like, they're like, oh, well, like, I got to protect myself. And I'm like, dude, like, you're a Jedi legend, and I'm just like a new Jedi. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you, like, teaching me things? Like, why are you just trying to fucking hurt me?
So
like,
weird.
And it's like, I told that person, I was like, dude, you're the only person I've ever been fearful rolling with.
Well, there's
and, like,
guys...
I did not mean that as an insult, but I did mean to be like, look, like, I don't know how any other way to say this. Like, you are not, like, I am never rolling with you again.
Yeah,
because,
there's guys
like,
you don't want to roll with.
You said it perfectly. It's like the fondness I have for the sport is that, like, if you don't have a partner, there is no jiu-jitsu. Yep. So, like, you have to respect the other person you're training with, and, like, if you hurt them, you no longer have a partner.
What people don't realize is when you take on a teaching role in any facet of life, in any knowledge, understanding, whatever art form, when you take on that teaching role, you gain a much different perspective on things. You learn, in a sense, and you learn things that you would not normally learn when you're the student. When you become the teacher, you gain a whole different perspective, and to me, that's a beautiful thing. It should be appreciated. People don't see that. They're not aware of this. I'm very aware of this, so for me, teaching is a beautiful thing, you know? You actually learn more than smashing. You know?
Smash.
I agree. Yeah, usually when I teach someone how to do a certain thing, I feel like I learn a little more about it.
Yep.
Because it's a refresher. You remind yourself of how to do things, and every now and then you're like, oh shit, I could do it this way.
Yeah, Gilmar and I put each other to sleep in the conference room all the time.
That's jiu-jitsu.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, let's get mats.
Let's get mats. Yeah, let's do it.
I do. I have the mats are rolled up in my mom's garage. We can put them in the truck anytime, dude. Roll in the fucking conference room.
What's up? Teach me some.
John will regret us moving the podcast studio into here. He'll just come in one day and the door won't open all the way. Like, what the fuck?
We're just sweaty.
He'll be like, take your shoes off. Bow.
Bow.
Come into my dojo.
Yeah, that'd be a great time.
But, dude, you guys were a great guest. I'm glad that, like, the universe aligns and we could get this going.
Yep.
But I do want to say the funniest thing I heard all day was we had a customer ask Jose about how, like, a Wi-Fi repeater was going to work. Mm-hmm. And you're like, yeah, man, it travels through matter. And that, dude, Sean's mind was blown by that.
Dude, when I was a kid, like, I used to pretend to have a laboratory. Like some people, like, they'd be like a spaceman or fireman or policeman or whatever. Like, we used to pretend to have a laboratory. Me and my cousin John, like, science was my thing. It's always been my interest. It's just always been on my mind. And I start school this coming year for engineering, and I'm gonna take this thing further. You know,
Oh,
it's just for me. Like, I run a successful company, and I have no reason to go to school but my own interests, and for the fact that it could provide him a better life. You know, the company could raise the company up, provide him a better life too. But yeah, I'm gonna be a scientist.
Yeah.
I will
Wow,
be a
dude.
scientist.
That's awesome.
I didn't have the opportunity, but I created the opportunity for myself. To me, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, congratulations.
That's sick.
Finally a shotgun,
That's
dude.
sick. Yeah,
You haven't been
bars all
shooting a
day.
lot this episode.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you need stingers. Those are called stingers.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch.
I was
What
gonna
else we
ask you
got?
if you had a soundboard.
Yeah, we got kind of a little soundboard here.
Can we like elf music?
Elf music?
Yeah.
Dude, I would have been hitting stingers the whole time.
Sometimes he does. Like people
It
will say,
depends.
people get in here and they're like real passionate.
Yeah.
Not that you lacked passionate,
Yeah.
but it'll be like on some sort of like, mission, and
Yeah.
they'll be like, say something, go on, and be like, boom,
Yeah.
and they'll be like,
Yeah, they'll get all.
what the
That's
what the
fuck,
hell?
I don't
Well,
know.
it's hard, dude. You got to have chemistry. And see, like, it took us a little while to get the wheels moving, but you establish chemistry over time, you know.
Yeah.
For it's you guys have a difficult job here because you're meeting someone for the first time. So you're either going to have chemistry or not have chemistry or develop it over the course of time.
We've made like
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole bunch of really good friends from
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a really great like journey so far.
Yeah.
We've only had like one or two people that I was like, I don't know. I'm carrying the episode.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough. It's tough because it's live. You're trying to bounce, hot mics. You're trying to bounce off each other. And again, it's not easy to do with everyone or everything or every piece of subject matter that you may try to get across,
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to do this thing, It's a difficult job you guys have, but
Yeah.
you're doing a great job, it looks
Thanks.
like.
Yeah, we try, dude.
I want to hear that board more, though. I love soundboards.
You hit him with some more elf music.
Fucking That's probably loud as fuck. Yeah, when you guys talking about reading books earlier, I've actually been reading a lot of books on communication because this is a part of it.
Yeah.
But also just meeting people in everyday life. I feel like I like talking to people, but breaking the ice and getting that initial conversation was always hard for me.
Yep.
So I just started reading that recently. I think I've been reading. There's this small book my girlfriend got me. It was what I learned it was like Communication 101. It's a small little blue book you can buy anywhere. It's like $10, and it has a lot of interesting theories on how you can persuade people, how you can give a good first impression, how you can break the ice. Then I started from that little book and kind of interested me into learning more about communication, like how you should respond to people, how you should show active listening, and find a common ground to find that chemistry, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of cool that, it's, I
You get to
can
apply it.
Yeah, I can start using it in real life now, and it's like fucking works. It feels like,
Communication 101, you said?
it was something like that.
Okay.
I have your numbers. I'll send you guys the book.
I gotta say, man, this is such a cool thing, dude. Like, the fact that cameras, they aren't cheap, but they've gotten to a price point where this is attainable. Like, and this technology, it's gotten to a point where this is all attainable.
Yeah, we have a nice construction company that sponsors our podcast.
Exactly.
So-
I'm saying it's awesome
So,
and it's
yeah.
envious. It's like, this is so dope.
I
We better
will
keep
say-
this going, you
I
know what I'm
will
saying?
say the microphones, the headphones, and the soundboard are easily obtainable for most people.
Yeah,
Like,
the
only-
roads are nice.
The roadcast. I mean, I wouldn't know offhand, but we'll say significantly less than $1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
No,
because you can buy it as a bundle.
Mhm.
We definitely started sinking some money into it when we got into like the other equipment, like cameras, camera lenses, all this other cables and stuff. Don't freak out about our wires here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, dude. People can't see the wires,
Yeah.
but there's a spaghetti mess back here. The monitor was cheap as shit. That was like $240 on Amazon. Fucking robbed that Amazon. There's like children in China
No
or
more
something
buying from Amazon.
making my TVs.
Can't
His kid's
support
on a tear with Amazon. I don't buy on Amazon anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I really do.
Local.
I do go to Whole Foods though. I love Whole Foods.
Yeah,
It's wonderful over there.
there's no TV manufacturers local, so we were forced to make the children make it in China.
Sorry.
We got to bring them. We got to bring manufacturing back. But that's another episode. We're not gonna get down this episode.
Yeah.
We'll bring you guys back in
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Where do you want people to like find you at?
Hit me up on IG at Wire Ninjas. I think that would be the best place, or just Google Wire Ninjas.
Yeah.
But I like IG. A lot of people hit me up there. It's a pretty cool platform to communicate with people. But yeah, hit me up. Questions, comments, suggestions, whatever. Hate, love.
Yeah.
I'm there for you.
Legit, dude.
Hell yeah.
So thanks for coming on. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us. Follow the Wire Ninjas. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share us with a friend. If you enjoyed this episode, share us with a friend or you're listening for free. And that's where we'll leave it. So thanks for listening and thanks for coming on.